welcome to your functional circuits class. So for equipment, you're going to need a set of heavy-ish weights. Don't go max heavy. I'm using a set of 15s. No jumping today. We're going to do all low impact. Class is broken up into 3 different circuits. In each of the 3 circuits, I'll give you 3 exercises. They're similar and they kind of build off of each other. You'll do them back to back, pretty much. There's transition time in between. And when you complete all 3, you then rest for 30 seconds before repeating. If we have unilateral work, we'll complete 4 sets. Bilateral work, we'll complete 3 sets. The exercises are done for 30 to 60 seconds, just depending on the move, and I will let you know when we get there. In between the 3 circuits, I'll give you a full minute to recover, and during that time, I'll give you a preview of the upcoming exercises. Great way to modify all these, go lighter with your weights. So you might want to have a slightly lighter set on hand in case you want to drop down. We'll start class with a guided warm-up, focused on mobility, some dynamic movement, but we will keep our warm-up low impact as well, and then we'll finish up class with a guided cool down. So for our warm-up, we can just start standing. You don't need your weights. Let's have our fingertips slightly behind our head, and let's just do a little cat-cow. So as we inhale, I want you to open up those elbows. Chest opens up. You can kind of cradle your head in your hands. Gaze shifts slightly up. And then as we exhale, elbows close in and we round forward. Inhale, we find that mid-back extension. Exhale, flex forward. We're inhaling through the nose, expanding the rib cage. We exhale out through the mouth. The ribs move in and down, engage the abdominal wall. One more time. And then stack the spine up tall. From here, arms reach overhead. We're going to do a hip hinge, and the arms are going to sweep back as the hips do, and then they go back overhead as we come upright. You are unlocked through the knees when you do that hip hinge, but don't think of this as a squat, okay? It's the hips sliding back and forward. We're going to hold the hip hinge up next. The arms will continue to sweep in 3, 2, hold the hinge, arms continue to sweep, focusing on establishing that connection to the front of our rib cage and our abdominals. So we're not flaring open through the ribs. We're not hyperextending into the lower back. Now, if your feet are sitting bones distance apart, I want you to kind of heel toe them in together so that your legs are right into midline. We sweep for 3, for 2, for 1. Stay in this hinge position. I want you to take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. Left arm points forward. And then we're going to inhale, twist open, kind of using this right hand for leverage. And exhale, we're going to come back to center. Inhale, twist it open. Exhale through center. This twist is coming from your mid-spine. So we're not just flinging the arm open. Arm follows the movement of the spine. Let's take it over to the other side. So now left hand to the outside of right knee, right arm points forward. Inhale, twist open to the right. Exhale to center. Last time. And then from here, I want you to heel toe your feet apart again. And we're going to drop into a squat. And then hands to the mat, forward fold. Bend the knees, lift the chest, low squat. Fingertips to the mat, straighten into your forward fold. Next time you're in your forward fold, I want you to pause. We're going to continue opening up through the backs of the legs. I want you to inchworm out to a plank position. I want you to take your right foot, step it outside the right hand, right arm twists up to the ceiling. Reverse it back to start. Take it over to the other side. In your plank, we're going to pike the hips up. You're going to inchworm your hands in towards your feet, and we're going to repeat. We walk it out. World's greatest once either side. Hips pike up, we inchworm our hands in. We inchworm out to plank, final time. World's greatest, once to either side. Pike those hips up, inchworm your hands in. Vertebrae by vertebrae, you're going to roll up to stand. We're going to come into kind of our dynamic movement section. Let's start with a squat to a hip circle. So you're going to squat down, doesn't have to be your lowest squat ever. One leg circles through midline, out and around. Squat, take it over to the other side. So it's like you're stepping up and over something. We have 3 moves, we'll go through them twice. Up next, feet are going to be wide, side lunge with a reach and twist. One final hip circle, and then I want you to pause with your feet wide. We side lunge to one side, opposite hand towards that foot, and then take it across. Keep reaching your hips back, stay open through the chest. So I don't care if your hand actually touches the floor. If you're feeling a little tight, maybe you just reach towards the outside of that shin. Step jacks coming up next in 3, 2, 1. Bring it up. So we're going to do a step jack, side to side. So a jumping jack variation, that's low impact. Sweeping one arm up, then the next. Building a little heat in the body. We'll start from the top, squat to hip circle. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Squat, hip circle. Side lunge, reach and twist in 3, 2, 1. Side to side. Step jacks coming up to finish up our warm up in 3, 2, 1. Step jack, side to side. So I'm going to give you a preview of our first circuit coming up next. First circuit is going to be glutes and chest focus. So it'll be hip bridge movements with chest press variations. In 4, 3, 2, here's your preview. First exercise is going to be a bridge march. You are just holding those weights overhead. One foot picks off the floor, then the next, keeping those hips elevated. From there, we have a combo. It's a chest press and then a hip lift, lowering them to the ground, lifting them back up to your bridge. Chest press, hip lift. Third and final exercise, palms rotate in towards each other. It's a chest fly, holding hips in bridge if possible, but if that's too much, you can always do that last one with the hips down. We're going through this one 3 times. Let's go. So we will start with that bridge march. We're going to have the weights overhead. First exercise is 30 seconds long. So let's come into our bridge position. Weights are overhead, right out over shoulders. Feet are sitting bones distance apart, heels under knees. And then we're going to lift those hips up. Keeping the hips up, we're just going to march, picking one foot up off of the mat at a time. 30 seconds like this. Now, as the foot lifts up, think of pressing the base foot into the floor and driving your hips up. We want to make sure that we are not hyperextending into the lower back. So you're really firing through the glutes. Reach your tailbone to your knees. We have our combo coming up next. It's going to be a hip lift and then a chest press. All right, let's go. Both feet on the floor. So hips lower and lift. You give me a chest press. We're here for 45 seconds. Now, when you do that chest press, your elbows are lowering down at a slight angle, kind of like when you do a push-up. I just don't want the elbows scrunched up towards your ears, okay? You are really active through the glutes, so fire, squeeze, squeeze into your bum. Hold those hips up as you do your chest press. So the last 30 seconds, you have a choice. Hips can stay lifted in your bridge if you want to challenge, or you can rest them on the mat. Palms will face in towards each other. You'll give me a chest fly. Let's go. Palms rotate in towards each other. You open up, exhale, fly them back up. Don't let those hips drop down. If you are choosing to maintain the bridge, and 30 seconds to rest. Lower those hips down. Whew. Okay, so we're going to go through that twice more. Now, kind of take inventory. How did that feel? If that was way too hard, you felt form slipping, maybe go a little lighter with the weights. If that didn't feel challenging enough, maybe you try going a little heavier. So we're going to start with that march. If doing the march with your weights overhead is too much, I want you to just have your elbows down on the floor, okay? Otherwise, feet sitting bones distance apart, heels underneath, so don't walk them in too close to your butt. Lift those hips up, let's go. We march. Now, as one foot comes off the floor, I don't want your hips rocking. So both hips are pointing up to the ceiling. Chest press, hip lift, coming up next. Let's go, both feet on the floor, hips lower, and lift. One chest press with the hips at the top. In this combo move for a little longer, 45 seconds instead of 30. Final one will be 30 seconds, hip lifted harder, hips down to modify, palms face in. You give me a chest fly. Let's go. Palms face in towards each other. So it's like the opposite of giving someone a hug. Open up and then close in for that hug. Keep pushing those hips up. And 30 seconds rest, lower those hips down. I like to just roll it up, release the weights for a second, give my grip a little break. All right, so we're gonna go through that just one more time, and then we're gonna come to standing for the rest of class. I just wanted to kind of kick things off with some glute activation, also getting in some love for the chest here. Okay, final time, we're gonna start with that hip bridge march. Palms face forward, weights over shoulders, feet sitting bones distance apart, heels under knees. Lift up into that bridge position, maintain the bridge position as you march one knee up at a time. To modify, do this with your elbows down on the mat, okay, instead of holding the weights overhead. So there is no height lost in the hips when one foot comes off the mat. So then push the hips up, push the stabilizing foot down as you pick the other foot up. Let's combo, both feet on the mat, hips lower, and lift. We chest press down, up. We'll finish up with 30 seconds in that chest fly, hips lifted for a challenge, hips down if it's too much. Let's go, palms rotate in towards each other, unlock through your elbows. Push those hips up, fire through the glutes. You have 15 seconds left in circuit number 1, you got this. And done, hips down. All right, you have a minute to recover. I'm gonna show you circuit number 2. So we are just going to need one single weight for the rest of class. This one will complete 4 sets of. So to start, you're in a sumo squat position. It's a bicep curl at the bottom. You pulse the legs as you come up, you switch hands, bicep curl at the bottom, other side. We're then going to pivot into a lunge position. It's going to be a bicep curl, and then a bicep curl racking the weight on your shoulder as you step forward into a squat, and then you stand, single arm thrust overhead, back into your squat, reverse it. We then have the weight in both hands, and it's going to be an up and over squat. So as you stand up, the weight goes overhead. As you sink down to the bottom, weight comes to your shoulder. All right, let's do it. This is a 2-minute push, 4 times through. Let's go. So we are going to find a sumo squat position. So it's a wide stance, and then you are externally rotated from the hip joint. So I don't care how far out your feet are. Your feet are only as far out as your hips can maintain that rotation. At the bottom of the squat, you do a bicep curl. We come up through the legs, but don't lock them out all the way, and you switch hands at the top. Let's go, 30 seconds. Bicep curl, up and switch. Stay open through the chest. And we don't want to sink into our lower back, so you're engaged through your abdominals. Now, when we come into our unilateral work, we're going to pivot to the right, okay? So your right foot will be forward. The weight is going to be in your left hand in a lunge position. All right, now let's pivot to the right. Right foot forward, weight in your left hand. You have 5 seconds of transition time. You're going to curl. Curl as you step that back foot forward. You're in a low squat. Stand, thrust, and reverse it. Curl. Curl, step, stand. So endurance is going to be a challenge, okay? Here for 60 seconds. So coming up next, weight in both hands, up and over squats. Woo. All right, so weight in both hands. You have 5 seconds of transition time. Starts on one shoulder, up and overs. Woo. 30 seconds to rest. Okay. So we're going to repeat that from the top. When we get to our 60-second unilateral exercise, though, we'll turn to the left and do it on the other side. So we'll start with that sumo squat, that bicep curl at the bottom. So wide stance, externally rotated from the hips. So you're fired through the glutes to maintain that external rotation. Let's go. Knees are tracking out in line with middle toes or even pinky toes. They are not falling inside of your big toe. Weight will be in the right hand up next. We'll pivot to the left. Left foot will be forward in that lunge position. Woo, all right, so weight in your right hand. We pivot over to the left. We're going to curl. It's a hammer curl, so palm faces in. Curls, you rack the weight. Stand, overhead press, reverse it. When you stand and thrust, you're firing through the glutes. Also make sure you're bracing through your core so that we don't arch into the lower back, okay? Oops, what am I doing? It'll be up and over squats for the final 30 coming up. Let's go. So weight starts on one shoulder. Down, up and over. We get that heart rate up a little bit. Find a steady pace. And rest. All right, I'm giving you a full minute, okay? long recovery because I want you to be able to continue to push yourself hard without sacrificing form. I like doing the 2-minute long intervals. You get that endurance challenge, but I don't want it to be too much. You want to make sure you're giving ample recovery time as well, especially when we're going a little heavier with the weights. So this circuit, legs, biceps, shoulders, core engagement throughout. Now would be the time to kind of check in. How are you feeling with your weight? If it feels easy, go a little heavier. Form getting sloppy, go a little lighter. All right, sumo squat with that bicep curl at the bottom. Wide stance, externally rotated through the hips. Think of pressing those knees outward in line with your toes. Let's go. You'll notice it's a big pulse with my legs. I'm not locking them out all the way straight at the top. Don't round your shoulders forward. Stay open through the chest. We'll pivot to the right for the second exercise. Weight will be in your left hand. Let's go. Lunge position, square off through those hips. Curl. Curls you step to your squat. Stand and thrust. 60 seconds. When you do that first curl, I don't just want you swinging the weight, okay? Control it. We got this. Third exercise is those up and overs. Coming up. All right, up and overs. Weight to one shoulder. Squat. Up and over. When you come out of that squat, you're pushing your feet into the mat, firing through the glutes, brace through your core. "30 seconds to rest." All right, just one more time through. Final time through. And then you are done with circuit number 2. All right, wide stance, sumo squat position. Actively externally rotated from the hips, knees and toes just follow, okay? So maybe your feet do not have to be pointing straight east to west, okay? Final 2 minutes. We got this. Just 2 minutes of work. Although 2 minutes doesn't feel so short. Weight will be in our right hand. We'll pivot to the left for exercise number 2. Pivot to your left. Open through the chest, brace through the core, curl. Curls you step to that squat, thrust, reverse it. You can do it. We're past that minute mark, okay? Under 60 to go. Up and overs to finish. Final 30. Let's go. Weight on one shoulder at the bottom. Up and over to the other side. You got this. Nice long recovery on the other side of this. Done. Awesome work. Minute-ish to recover, maybe a little longer. I'm going to show you our third and final circuit. Okay, if you've been taking my classes for a while, you know I'm not letting you get through a functional circuits class without a little bit of balance work, okay? So first exercise is going to be a back lunge to a knee drive with a shoulder press. If the shoulder press is too much and throwing off your balance, just keep the weight on your shoulder, okay? Second exercise, you're going to be in a hinged lunge position. It is going to be a reverse grip row, so your palm faces forward, and then you're going to tilt forward into that single leg deadlift, land back in the hinged lunge, row, hinge forward into that deadlift. If balance is a really big challenge on that one, I would do it next to a chair or a couch or a wall, something you can have your non-weighted hand on for balance help. Third exercise is a little bit of a nicer one. We're going to bring things to center. We're going to hold that weight in both hands. It's just going to be a narrow row, so a little bit of biceps and back here. Because we are doing double arm with just the single weight, we're going to go a little bit for speed. You're not rushing it. We're not sacrificing form, but we are going to really crank out some reps in those last 30 seconds. 4 times through, and then we cool down. Let's do it. So to start, weight is going to be in your left hand, and your right foot will be forward. And we will do that back lunge into the knee drive with our shoulder press. So right foot forward, weight on that left shoulder. I would have your right arm forward for balance. You're going to get low in the lunge, maybe knee taps the floor. Stand and knee drive with the shoulder press, back to your low lunge. I'm exhaling as I stand. I'm connecting to my core. I'm firing through my right side glutes as I come up. Again, if the shoulder press is too much, just keep that weight on your shoulder. We will step this left foot back into our hinged lunge position up next. Weight stays in this hand. Okay, so step that foot back. So your right palm is going to face, your left palm is going to face forward, right foot is forward. It's a reverse grip row. And then we lift that back leg off of the floor, come into our single leg deadlift. Land back in that hinged lunge. Reverse grip row. Now when you do that row, stay open through the chest, pull the elbow up and back. It's a small row, it's not a huge range of motion. So this is going to be a big challenge for the posterior side of that right leg. In our third move, we will be in a hinge, but both feet will be side by side. We'll grab the weight in both hands. We'll do that narrow row. Woo! All right, grab the weight at its ends, palms face in. Slide those hips back. We row. You can pick up the pace on this one. All right, not super heavy because we're using both arms together. So we're going for a higher rep count. You're thinking of retracting the shoulder blades so they slide in towards each other as the elbows pull back and up. Stay broad across your collarbones. Keep reaching the tailbone back. And rest, 30 seconds. All right, we're going to do that same thing, other side. So the left foot will be forward, the weight will be in our right hand. So let's rack that weight on your right shoulder. Left foot is going to stay planted, so really spread out through the toes, press down through all 4 corners of that foot. Your right foot will step back into the back lunge. And I want you to get low in the back lunge. Maybe your knee taps the mat, only if that feels okay for your knee though. Knee drive, shoulder press. So we got legs, we got more shoulders and a little biceps, and we got back in this circuit. Don't rush this. Balance and stability. We'll be in that lunge position, leaning forward. Reverse grip row to deadlift up next. All right, let's go. So your palm is going to face forward. Left foot forward, right leg back, square your hips. So we do that row, and then we kick forward, fire through the glutes to lift the leg. Don't arch into your lower back. Now I am never locking out this left knee. So this should be a big challenge for that left leg. Hips stay square to the floor when you go into that deadlift. So think of pulling your right hip down in line with the left. Stay open through the chest. Oops, you do not have to do a row in the deadlift. I don't know why I just did that. Woo, center it off, grab the weight in both hands, slide your hips back, open through the chest. So you kind of row the weight in towards your rib cage more so than your chest. That way your shoulder heads don't roll forward and you stay open through the chest. Again, crank out as many reps as you can without sacrificing proper form. Length through the back of the neck, neutral through the spine. Rest. All right, we're halfway there. You have a full minute to recover. So we're going to go through that one more time each side, and then we cool it down. So whereas the second circuit, we kind of got that heart rate up, it was a little more of a sweatier one. This one, we're slowing down the pace a little bit, focus more on balance and control, but still mixing in that power element with our heavier weight. So right foot will be forward. Weight is going to be on that left shoulder. We'll start with our back lunge, knee drive, shoulder press. If the shoulder press is too much, just keep the weight on your shoulder. Or you could even do these first 30 seconds body weight. Uh-oh, the monsters are waking up. Let's go. I got to hurry up and finish filming before they start wrestling and being all rambunctious. I know you guys like watching when they're like that, but it is so distracting to film when they're like jumping all over me. Woo! Okay, we got that reverse grip row. So palm is going to face forward. We are going to row and then kick off into that single leg deadlift. So when we kick off into the deadlift versus the hinged lunge, there's not too much of an angle change in our body, okay? Here I'm parallel to the floor. Here I'm at an angle, but I still have that lean forward. Don't worry about getting the row up super high. If you try to pull the elbow up too high, what happens is you roll forward through the shoulder, and I want you to stay open through the chest. Woo, that right leg is talking to me. Third exercise is centering. Oh, grab the weight at its end. Slide those hips back, hinge position, narrow row. So palms facing towards each other. A little bit of speed on this one. The weight is rolling in towards your ribs. So you're thinking of pulling the elbows back and up. Don't flare open to the front of your ribs. So we're connected to the core. It's quick, but it's controlled. Burn it out. Biceps back, working here. Rest, 30 seconds. All right, one more time through. We have 2 minutes of work and then we cool down. We got this. So the weight will be on our right shoulder, left is going to be the base. A note, if you have trouble with knee stability, try doing your workouts barefoot. It can really help. Oftentimes when we have really good control of the foot and control within the hip joint, that leads to a stable knee, okay? So working on those two things can really help with knee control. All right, let's go. Back lunge, knee drive, shoulder press. All right, hinged lunge. Palm faces forward. Hinge forward with the torso connected to your core. Reverse grip row. And then we kick off, woo, coming in to that single leg deadlift. Now, yes, the focus is most certainly on this left leg, but I want you to stay active through your right leg when you lift it. So think of reaching it long, squeeze your quads to hold the leg straight, and then fire through your glutes to lift the leg so that we don't arch into the lower back. Come on, you have under 60 seconds of work left in class. You got this. Stay open through the chest. Don't let this right shoulder pull forward. Ooh, let's come centered. Grab the ends of your weights, hinge position. Power row. In. In. Retract those shoulder blades. Little protraction as the weight comes forward, retract as the weight comes back. And done. Awesome work. You can put that weight down. Whew. I'll bring you through a quick cool down. As we let that heart rate come down, let's start with a standing quad stretch. So you're gonna grab a foot in the hand, pull the heel into your bums. And then brace through the core, drop your tailbone down so you actually feel this stretch. Shake it out and take it over to the other side. Looking at one place on the floor in front of you can help with balance, by the way. If your gaze is all over the place, that's where we tend to get a little more wobbly. And then we're going to come into a kneeling lunge position. You can fold over your mat if you want some padding for your back knee. You don't have to though. So let's have right foot forward, left knee down. Square your pelvis, squeeze the glutes, and then press the hips forward a little bit so we feel this hip flexor stretch. And then we're going to take a side body stretch. So I want your left arm to reach up and let's side bend over to the right. Coming up through center, we're going to shift the hips back, straightening out our front right leg. Square the hips and fold forward, stretching out through the backs of the leg. The back of the leg, singular. There we go. We'll take this to the other side. When you're ready, right knee down, left foot forward. Square the hips, squeeze the glutes so we're neutral through the pelvis, then press the whole shape forward so we get that hip flexor stretch. Right arm reaches up and we side bend over the left. Coming up through center, we're going to shift the hips back, straighten out through our front leg, square the hips again, and then fold forward. We'll come into tabletop to finish with a shoulder stretch. We're going to thread the needle. So let's take our right arm, weave it under the left cheek to the mat, and then walk your left arm forward and breathe into that mid-back. I love the stretch. Could hang out here all day. When you're ready, we'll take it over to the other side. Left weaves under right cheek to the mat. Walk your right arm forward. Breathe into the mid-back. Locking that right hand in. Let's come to a kneeling position. Finish up with one deep breath together. We inhale, the arms sweep up, grow tall. We exhale, release. That is your class. Awesome work today. I'll see y'all next time.